Hello, Eric in Provo, Utah. You're on with Matt and Jamie. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
How you doing?
First off, Matt, I don't think you're a white supremacist.
Well, how would you know? Let's just skip past that and get to calls that are relevant to this, because I can't imagine you'd have enough information to reach that conclusion either. But thank you.
He's
sorry. I was just trying to be nice.
He's being
no, I appreciate it.
He's in a good mood.
I'm having a bit of fun, but
what did you want to talk about?
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to mention was I called in to the Atheist Experience a few weeks ago, actually as a theist. Now I'm calling in as an atheist. I hope you don't think I was being dishonest. Okay, good. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I hope you didn't think I was being dishonest, because this whole thing has been pretty confusing for me. There's actually a period of time where I delved into a really deep depression, and I was really suicidal. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
I actually attempted suicide one time. So, yeah, I just hope you weren't. I hope you don't think I was being dishonest. I'm just trying to figure things out.
No, that's something we completely understand, and I'm far more concerned with people reaching states where they're attempting suicide than I am about whether or not they were a theist or an atheist or dishonest or honest about any of that other stuff. Hopefully, you're getting some help, and it would be a good time for us to remind people not only about recovering from religion, but the Secular Therapist Project as well. And a quick Google search will get you to both of those resources so that you can find a therapist that's not going to be feeding you full of religious garbage in trying to deal with your mental health issues.
Yeah, I actually have gone through therapy, and I'm feeling better now. Listening to reason has really helped me a lot through all this. There is one thing still holding me back. Oh, by reason, I mean like your YouTube channel and the YouTube channel of other skeptics. You guys have been instrumental in getting me through this.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it's been useful.
Like and subscribe, I guess.
Yeah. So the topic I wanted to talk about today is something that it's been really bugging me, and I'd really love to get your input on it. Let me tell you what happened to me or to my family. So my mom, she a few years ago, several years ago actually, she had this dream, and she had a dream about all her children. It was like a dream of prophecy, where she saw Jesus in the dream, and Jesus told her the future of my 3 older sisters, of me, and my little brother. The only part that I really would like to discuss is the part about my little brother, actually, because it's the only part that I could possibly even consider attributing to the supernatural. So what happened, what Jesus told her was that my little brother is going to be a prophet. See, we were raised Mormon, and so we believe in prophets like Moses and Isaiah, but the Mormons believe that these prophets still exist. And Jesus told my mom that Jacob, my little brother, he's going to be one of them. And so that doesn't sound impressive by itself. The part that gets me is that he, years later, as a teenager, independently also got a revelation that he is a prophet. And I don't know how that could have happened without the supernatural influences. And
really?
I'd really like to get your input, please.
Are they both still Mormon? Not to generalize, but there's both still religious?
Yeah, my little brother, he's actually on a mission right now in Japan.
Oh,
and so he's had to learn Japanese. So, and my mom is really into it. They are both really, really deep into it.
So in terms of 2 religious people, one that was raised by the other having similar ideas about one of their futures, I find that not supernatural.
There's a lot of issues here. Number one, why on earth would anybody trust something that they got in a dream? I mean, you'd think that if an almighty God had an important message for you, rather than giving it to you in a dream where it is entirely suspect because our brains function in weird ways when we're dreaming. We dream about all kinds of weird stuff. You think that God would just give the message. I mean, if it's an important enough message for Jesus to give it to him, why not just give it to him like in person? But then the next question is, how does your mom know that it was Jesus giving her a message in a dream? And then after that, so for example, my mom has claimed to get all kinds of messages from God, and they seem to almost always be wrong, but that doesn't seem to faze her. But I remember when I was a kid, I was sitting in the car one day and I told my mom, I was like, I want to be a DJ. And my mom said, no, God's already told me what you're going to be. Now, she didn't tell me what God had told her I was going to be, but it was really fucking obvious.
Yeah, did she tell you you're going to be an atheist activist?
No, she said she meant that I was going to be a preacher, as did others, and they're claiming that they're correct because on some level you could describe what I do as preaching. But the key thing here is that without my mom actually telling me what it was that God said I was supposed to be, I understood what she meant. She's my mom. Now, if your mom had a prophetic dream about your brother, I find it completely unremarkable that would result in your brother eventually thinking that or getting a similar inkling about his future, because it fundamentally changes your mom and how your mom acts with your brother and the entire nature of that relationship, and they both have the same religious beliefs. And oh, by the way, every kid in my youth group at one point or another was convinced they were going to be a preacher or a youth pastor or something in the ministry because that's the way these things work. So I don't know how anybody could attribute any of this to the supernatural, because I don't know how you can do that at all. But at a minimum, this seems entirely mundane across the board. I had a dream. Jesus told me something I wanted to hear in this dream. And then later on, the kid reached a similar conclusion.
Yeah. It's very much, I had a prophetic dream that Jesus would one day help me find my car keys. That's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. If my mom had a message from God that I would, in fact, be an atheist activist, that would have been a little bit more impressive.
Yeah.
Not crazy impressive, but more impressive. But the thing is, at most, the only thing a reasonable person could conclude is, well, we don't know why we have these apparent perceptions of messages that seem to at least be somewhat consistent. But it's not remotely outside the realm of what humans do and how humans interact, especially when they're all being fed the same religious, ideas.
Yeah. How does that strike you, Aaron?
I hear what you're saying. I wanted to ask you, do you not think it's strange at all that it was years later that he independently came up with the same idea?
What do you think happened? And you don't think your mom ever mentioned this to him or hinted at it or took any action that might move him in that direction in the intervening years?
I'll have to ask her.
Do you think your mom's going to be a reliable source of information about whether or not she might have unduly influenced your younger brother? The thing is, she had this thing and then years later this happened. Well, first of all, maybe she's selectively editing her memory about something that happened years earlier. Maybe she was influencing the whole time. The answer to this question is we don't know what happened. But there can't possibly be justification for saying that it's all true and the result of a God intervening, if for no other reason than the ridiculous thing that I pointed out at the outset, which is why do it in a dream? If God's got an important message for people and he's given it to them in dreams, he's an idiot.
Yeah. Well, everything you've said makes sense. That really makes me feel a lot better to hear the voice of reason. That was the one thing holding me back, so you can call me a full-on atheist now.
Cool.
Congratulations. Welcome to the fold.
But don't stop asking questions. And if you find actual evidence for a proposition, be it supernatural, religious, whatever else, that's I'm far more concerned with people being skeptics and humanists than I am atheists. Mm-hmm. But kudos and, welcome back to reality.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to touch on that. Yeah, atheism, that's just a subset of what we should be. A skeptic is what we really got to call ourselves, is not being gullible and only trying to believe as many true things as possible and trying to disbelieve as many false things as possible.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good phrase.
Somebody should put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Available now.
I really appreciate taking my call. I got to say, I feel a lot better now. Thank you so much for reasoning with me, and I'll enjoy watching the rest of the show.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.